Welcome back to the channel, folks. I am Dale, and we are here just to ponder what the purpose of life is because there's definitely an answer, but I still don't see the benefit in it. Okay, so what are we all freaking doing here? Why are there so many creators on YouTube? Why are there so many influencers around the world? Whether that be, like, first of all, everybody's an influencer, okay? Because if you exist, you have influence over people. So why are there like 8 billion influencers? All right. And then, what's the point of journaling? I'm not really sure. I know, like, I understand that we're told to do it to get down into our subconscious and find meaning and all these different things. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through some journal stuff that I wrote. So, um, hopefully, it's all cool to read. It's really just like 2 days worth of journaling, but yeah, I'm going to read it and then we're going to talk about. I guess we're just going to talk about reality. That okay? All right, reality and what's the point? All right. I always encourage you to watch my videos in double speed, and there are reasons for that. That's because it's like people say that it's the thing of an ADHD mind, and okay, cool, I've been diagnosed with ADHD, but also like I'm real bored in life. I'm real bored with what this world offers, okay? And even up into the higher realms of like what's not seen on the world or like the spiritual levels of what it is. I am just so bored. I'm so bored with it all, okay? And so this is not like positive or negative. This is not like me. This is Here's the truth. What's a philosopher? What is a philosopher? Why do we even have a term for that? And like where do you apply for that job, right? If it's not a job, then why do we know what it is? Um there's so many questions, and why are we even created into a being that can ask so many questions if all we're supposed to do is do, right? Human being versus human doing. That's what this like where do we even get all this stuff? Where does all of our language come from? Where do last names come from? Where do first names come from? Like when we think of what we're following, what came before us, all the last names were created already. When did that happen? Why aren't we still doing these things? Except for like weird, obscure couples who are like, I'm going to create a last name out of both of our last names. And, it's like, yeah, I guess that happens and stuff. It's like, the, this might seem like a pessimistic video or concept, but it's like, it's just as much pessimistic as it is optimistic, right? When you just see reality, when you see what the possibilities are, when you see what the limitations are, when you see what the expansiveness is or whatever, it's like, we still have limitations because we can't imagine the expansiveness of what it's all supposed to be. But I'm just like I'm so bored with it. There's got to be something more, but there's not. We already know that there's not more. We already know what the promise of the more is. Okay. So, whatever. I encourage you to watch my videos in double speed because you fucking can. All right. Because you can speak half as many words as you can listen to. Okay. So you're supposed to be able to speak like 250 words per minute, but you can listen to 500 words per minute. Now, mathematically, that makes sense. You got one mouth and two ears. All right. But a lot of times you're not fucking listening anyway. Or you're off in la la land or like being distracted by something else. That's like why people wear accessories and lipstick and stuff like that. It's like to catch a certain something. It's like we just have all these techniques. This isn't like a technique. It's just there's certain ways that I like to see the world and certain ways that I like to digest information. And I remember like people who look like they're well put together, I'm way more apt to listen to their information than somebody who looks like a fucking slob who's unsure of themselves. All right. So anyway, but that's the thing is like everything is a technique. It's a strategy. It's based on something that came before us. So I'm telling you to watch my shit in double speed because then you can actually like maybe listen to all the content and the context. And then I'd rather somebody listen to it twice in double speed than once in single speed in normal speed because I'm saying shit that you don't know what to expect. Okay. So you don't have a place for it. At least if you listen to it twice in double speed, you have a place for it the second time you're listening to it because you know what I'm going to say. If you think you know what I'm going to say, then I'm saying stuff that is not freestyle. I'm saying stuff that is not like being channeled through the vessel that is my brain and mouth. Okay. And like, if you don't if you don't have a place for what somebody's saying, then you're just going to reject it. Okay. So you're not listening with it. You're just like, are you only going to listen to stuff if it sounds like something that you've already heard before? Probably. Or you're going to feel like silly for speaking something differently or listening to something differently or whatever, vibing with something that other people don't. So I'm just going to read this stuff, and whatever it is because I don't really remember all of what I write because there's terms for this. It's like channeled writing or just freestyle writing where you put the pen on the page and you just let it go. Okay. So it's like a feeling or a prompt is what initiates you to get the pen on the page or a practice or a routine. But why? Fucking why? Why? It doesn't really matter why. It doesn't really matter why. It's just like we're all here and we got to deal with this shit from something else that created it. And then we're supposed to have the invisible manual on how to best like live in that scenario. All right, fine. So anyway, I wrote this on Sunday. They say we're in an eclipse portal, and the final one is solar, and it happens somewhere in the world today. You could meet everyone in the world, and yet there will only ever be a handful of people who change your life through love and pain. I don't let myself play a part in the stage performance of someone else's undoing anymore. For a brief period of time, I could sense that the outcome would be unfavorable because of obvious betrayals at its smallest seed form. A look, a thought, a smile. We all know exactly what's going on. The first snag in the sweater that will eventually be its undoing. My relationship didn't approach me directly, not face to face, eye to eye. But I wonder how many people do. It was always from a sideways glance and a curiosity of what's beneath. Wasn't I generally quiet and a bit socially forlorn in a cocoon of my own inner knowing world? Yeah, I wanted to be close to a person like me. It's not possible to be born as a baby that people seem excited about, then not have an imprint for wanting to put a smile on someone's face just for existing in your own receptive consciousness. And so it begins. People hide away their smile and replace them with sneers of judgment because they were shamed at some point for liking someone without taking into account the social categorization process of determinationism to soothe the soul's attraction to experience itself in the unique vessel of another. Let me reread that. People hide away and they're okay. First of all, let me explain what I'm trying to say. It's not possible to be born as a baby that people seem excited about, then not have an imprint for wanting to put a smile on someone's face just for existing in your own receptive consciousness. Okay. Everybody gets excited about babies being born, correct? Or like that's sort of like the concept of what it's supposed to be. And then it's like, but even if people are excited for the baby that's about to be born, and they throw a party for it and there's like gender reveals and all this stuff. It's like the minute that the baby is born, first of all, when you like go into labor, it's real fucking painful. Who's there for it? Do you get to have this baby in the place where you want to have it? Do you get to have the people around that you want? Or do you have to have like cold ass tile floors and doctors and this and that and people are touching you and putting needles into you? All right, so then the baby's born, right? And then it starts crying and then it starts having needs. But everybody's so excited and crying because this life is there. And then what happens when you can't soothe the baby? What happens when the baby has a problem that needs to be medically treated? What happens when the baby doesn't survive? I worked in a mother baby unit. I saw this happen. I saw it happen with my own son, though he was brought back to life. So technically he's like a zombie. But you know, so anyway, and then there's other things that exist in this earth for births that are not welcome and smiled upon, right? Okay. But how long does that smile last once that child is born? It's like it's born to a human. So that human has to interact with that child, right? And we're supposed to interact positively all the time, or we're going to like be detrimental to that new life. It's like, okay, well, then where are we supposed to get that power from? Where are we supposed to get the power of positivity from? Where does that come from? Is it like, are you just showered with abundance of all the things that you need to raise a child? Do you have support on your side? Do you have like money and food? Can your body even produce milk for the child? And then there's people who think that nursing a child is completely unnatural and you're supposed to feed them a powdered formula that's made out of, go look, go look. All right. But good luck because the formulas are put behind locks. All right. So, but yeah, they're made out of like fats and oils and sugars. It's disgusting what they make them out of. And then, but commercials will make you think that that's what you're supposed to be doing. So anyway, the point is that every new birth is imprinted with the concept that it's going to get everything that it needs, because even if it's an unwanted child, it's still developing in the womb of some place where it is receiving everything that it needs. Okay. So as soon as this human is born, it's like it was programmed to think that it was going to get everything that it needed. And it's not thinking that, it's just surviving in that, it's existing in that, of having all of its needs met. And then everybody's like excited for it. And then as soon as it starts having its own identity, and like, it's not even really an identity, as soon as it starts making sounds and movements for based on what its needs are for survival, then there's like feelings about it, right? Then there's these projected feelings about it of like, oh, the baby's crying. And then it like, the parent has a reaction to that, right? Have you ever cried because you cannot console your child, right? It's like the most devastating thing in the world. But that it's what it doesn't matter like how much money you have. It doesn't matter how well you were brought up. These are the facts of life. Okay. These are the facts of what it is to be born. Okay. So we're born with mm, I don't know, this need. We're born with this like this feeling that just because we make people happy, right? And then as soon as like the life begins and moves throughout a day, you start to experience not just happiness, right? Whether you are the child or whether you are the people surrounding that child. So, all right. People hide away their smile and replace them with sneers of judgment because they were shamed at some point, right? Okay. So as you start to grow up and you start to be like, hey, you know what? I'd really like to play outside all day. And then parents and adults are like, no, you can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. And it's like, why? Why can't we live that way? Well, obviously, because God, if that's who created this world, because God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. It's like, I don't know, based on the life that we have here, I don't know that I want everlasting life. It just seems like, why? Why do I have to do this thing? So it's like, so that's the sneers of judgment, because they were shamed at some point for liking someone without taking into account the social categorization process of determinationism to soothe the soul's attraction to experience itself in the unique vessel of another. And I'm just talking about the fact that there's only a handful of people in this world that we really feel drawn to, okay? Right? I mean, you can move through this world for a few days or 100 years and you're going to experience that. It's like there's lots of people out there, but they don't all do something to you. They don't all create something within you. And so what's that fucking about, If you can understand this writing, just understand it. I don't really feel like explaining it all. So I just okay. And so it is. We are all enrolled into the school of hard knocks and opposite days, right? When you're like, opposite day, like somebody will tell you something really amazing, or like if you're a nerd, they'll be like, oh my God, do you want to come sit at our lunch table? And then you like feel good inside. And then they're like, haha, opposite day, you're not allowed to be here, right? And then why? Why do we do this? So yeah, they say it's eclipse season, and the last of the season is today. All right. So eclipse season happens like 4 times a year. It's a 2-week period. Oh man. And then I wrote down all these points that I wanted to talk about in a video about expanding relationships. And then so I'll say that because that's not this video. And because what does it matter? What does it matter to expand relationships? It's like maybe we need to contract them. Maybe we do, because it sounds like we're supposed to be social creatures. That's what I've heard. That's what it seems like works best. But then you go out into society and you get all the judgment that everybody's programmed with. You get like, we're looking all at each other like, you're a different color than me. How are we supposed to make this work? Because I don't feel like one way or another about you, but I do feel confused because you're born into a world where there's all these presets that you are like born into. And like when I feel comfortable with somebody, man, what I can say is that I was like raised in oh my God, my white social studies teacher, she used to call it the golden ghetto because it was like we were born amongst a bunch of white people, right? And then there was like a few black families, and usually their dads played for the Buffalo Bills, or it was just like, so I was like, dude, what can I learn from this place? This is not where I want to be. This is not, it's like I see what I'm serving around here, and I would just try to serve like the goodness of where you could like teach and expand and grow. I wanted to be a teacher. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this world. I don't know what to say about it. We know what the good stuff is like. We know what it's like. And we know what the bad stuff is like. And they always come together, right? So, okay, so fine. So I write a journal today. Damn. It's like we're living in the future and we forgot. Remember in the year 2000, like in the year 2000, it used to be that Conan O'Brien thing because I was writing down the date and it's 2025. We're a quarter of a fucking century past the year 2000. All right. We're 25 years past it. I got to go and see my family yesterday in like ways when I wouldn't normally see them. They're still the same family that I had back then. They're still the same family that I've had since January 1st of 1983 when I was born. And yet we're all forced through this like sausage grinder of life into the future, right? Where we it's like where we take all these parts of who we are, where we came from, and we don't get to have it back. I don't get it. I don't get it. I always used to get annoyed with my mom, and I still kind of do when she like mourns the loss of some shit that isn't ever coming back. Like, uh, what do you call them? Like department stores and shit like that. I'm like, yo, it's just the way. It's the way. That's what happened. Find happiness in like the new thing. You want to be scared about your identity getting stolen, so you don't want to shop online. Anybody can steal your fucking identity from anywhere. It doesn't matter. It's like, I was like showing in a video where I was bragging about like all the things that I've done. And I was like showing my DD-214 and my driver's license and shit that like if you zoomed in enough, like my EIN number for my business and all this dumb shit. That's not me, right? It's just this thing. And it's so annoying that you gotta like have all this stuff to prove that you are who you are. How about I'm fucking standing in front of you and I'm here, okay? You want to make this world like, well, you can't be who you are unless you got the paper that shows where you were born and who you were born to. What if those fucking people don't have it? What if you had a baby out in the I can't get my son on ID because I don't have his original birth certificate, even though I've tried to get his original birth certificate and it's a method that anybody should be able to process, but I haven't been able to. All right. So I got somebody else to do that for me. But it's like, oh, well, everything's held up right now because of the real ID standards. What the fuck is a real ID as opposed to everything else? And why is it holding stuff up? I need three proofs of whatnot in order to do what? In order to do what? It's like you can't even you can't really get a job. You can't really do anything unless you have proof that you're paying bills to something like utility companies. It's like, I can't get a job or I can't like get an email address unless I prove to you that I have bills that I'm paying. Do you know what I mean? It's like all this irrelevant shit. How about I don't want an email address? How about I don't want a cell phone? How about I don't want any of those things? Well, you can't have a job if you don't have those things. You can't. What is going on? What is going on in this world? And what happens when you when you lose people that you care about? You don't get them back. You don't fucking get them back. So then what do? You play in the land of fantasy and spirituality that says honor the spirits. They're all around you. Okay. Yeah, I believe in that. I do. I do. All right. But what the fuck does it mean? I didn't miss their spirit. I'm not missing their spirit. I'm missing hanging out with them. All right. So I can sit in a room by myself and watch old reruns of like Bob Vila in This Old House. And you know, I used to watch cooking shows. My cousin and I were talking about this yesterday, like that how we used to like watching cooking shows when they were actually cooking shows. I was like almost on Hell's Kitchen. That's not what I want. I just keep doing shit because it's there. Because what is the purpose here? What is the fucking purpose? It's like somebody who's got a lot of power, tell me what the purpose is. Tell me how I can follow your plan so that I get stability. I did that by joining the army and nobody follows the rules there, all right? Or the people who follow the rules, it doesn't really matter. So I'm telling you, the purpose is that there's no fucking purpose. And we just have to try so hard to make up a purpose. It's all right. So let me read this. Damn, it's like we're living in the future and we forgot. Remember, in the year 2000, that was something that Conan O'Brien used to do. And he used to do it before the year 2000 and then after. And it was hilarious. It's 20 freaking 25. I got to see my family yesterday. I love my family. We don't really change. Does yours? We spun business plans over lunch. Ella and I went to the volleyball game and I chatted with, I'm not trying to give names, I chatted with my friend about the job prospects because I went to an interview last week. Will one win? Will both win? So I was referring to the business plan versus the job prospect. Will they both win? How do I break my fucking necklaces while I sleep? Because I woke up to my necklace being broken. And a lot of times that happens. They just randomly break at a point when I feel like I do take them off sometimes, but I'll just keep wearing the same one over and over again. And then it'll randomly break. Right. And so I usually take that as a sign of okay, well, it's broken. All right. It's the obvious sign and the sign that I don't need to wear it anymore. So yeah, I woke up to my necklace being broken. This family is happy. We always find more amazing ways to live life as we wait on the life of choice. And I'm talking about because I don't get to choose how I live my life. I get to choose within the confines of what I'm limited to based on what other people allowed me, all the fucking gatekeepers that there are in life. Okay. I'm limited to choosing how I want to feel within the cages that we are in. Your cage might look like a house, but it's a fucking cage. Mm-hmm. All right. We always find more amazing ways to live life as we wait on the life of choice. I posted yesterday. It was good to get back with a reading, and my friend chimed in for support. So thank you. All right. You know who you are. So I have to check with the office about the craft show in the community house. I'm just talking about the concept of doing a craft show. We have a house here where you can host community events because it's a trailer park. So it's better than having a yard sale. So I'm just writing myself a to-do concept. Um and then I was writing I gotta go to Target for my daughter and Market in the Square for food shopping. Yesterday was the equinox. All right. So if you didn't know that, yesterday was the equinox, which means that that's equal parts light and dark. That was kind of where I ended that. And then, so perhaps yesterday I got to feel what equality felt like when it comes to equal parts light and dark in the reflection of the day around me. And then it's just all right, so I get out and I start my day today. And yeah, I wrote that at 5 something in the morning. And then I go on about my like to-do list that I create for myself. Okay. So it's like, get up, walk the dog, walk the baby, or walk the babies, wake up the babies with hi, little baby, and waking them up with the best way possible. Like, you know what would feel the best to wake up to. Give that to the people around you, right? So I do. It's like because within that, this would be what's considered the purpose of life. If the purpose is to avoid hurting, it's like then make sure that you're not hurting the people around you. All right? Number 1, that's what you're trying to do. But you're still sending them off on a school bus with a bunch of other people that can ruin their day. They can pick on them for whatever reason. But I'm doing that for love because society says that I'm supposed to have to do that, or I would be a terrible parent if I didn't. You know, it doesn't matter if you label what you're feeling today. It doesn't matter how you go out and live out your day. If it's a lie, you can still get rewarded. You can still get money. If it's the truth, you can still get money or you can be happy without it. There's no point. There's no point. There's no purpose. So, I went through a couple of hours of doing my fucking routine for whatever, for like wholeness and completeness and self something actualization and whatever. And this self actualization is that we're living in something that we didn't create. We didn't fucking create it. All right. So this is my feeling with that. It's like, what does it matter to know the purpose? What does it fucking matter to know the purpose? So yeah, so I'm like trying to elevate what I'm doing for the day or whatever. I'm just trying to be like the best version of myself. And this is the thing, is like I did a tarot reading yesterday about being like the Empress and the High Priestess. And those are not nice women, okay? It's not that they're not nice, it's that they can be very mean. And I can be very mean because I grew up with my father as my father. And he just says the obvious. He just says the obvious. And that sounds mean, okay? But it's the most effective truth that you're ever going to get. And so I think everybody falls in love with me, but only if they feel like I'm being nice. As soon as I get honest with them because they're being dishonest about what they said, uh, they think I'm being mean. And it's really, I don't have to do anything to sugarcoat what I'm saying. If you're a fucking lie, you're a fucking lie to yourself, right? You can call me out on that shit. You can, but I'm always trying to just do what I say that I'm going to do. And if, you know, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, so I go through a few hours of my day and I'm just like just trying to live life like we're supposed to, right? So I'm feeling like all the positivity or all the godliness. Like what even is that? It's all still just a game. It's all still just a game. So see if you can uncover the game within from what I write here. And I wrote it in green because it's supposed to be coming from the honesty of my heart because the heart space is supposed to be green when it comes to chakras. All right. It's never fucking there for me. It's always fucking scared of me. Masks and lies and dollar signs, miles and deserts and traffic signs. Not yet. Stay still. Sit dead. Eat bread. The bread which is my body broken for you unto the sun. I shed my blood for you. Yet you shall drink the liquid of my life to make you everlasting. A vampire? A cannibal? That's the message of real truth, honor of the father. Where's the mother? Has anyone considered her perspective as you eat and drink her child? After witnessing the greatest public beating and murder of all humanity, she watched her son die. She watched him abused. Oh my God. Right? If that story is true, the Passion of the Christ, what's his name? Who made that? Like, all right. Okay. Um, where's the mother? Has anyone considered her perspective as you eat and drink her child? You know, you're eating and drinking her child after his death. That's the only way you can do it, right? Even though he said it at the Last Supper, take this bread as my body or whatever, drink this wine as my blood. Why? That is like, that's what, that is what like witchcraft is. That is what witchcraft is. That is the dark side of it. Don't we hear people talking about this stuff amongst politicians where they're trying to like feed off of adrenochrome and stuff like this? Where do we even get this information? Where do we get it? Why do I know what that is? Why is it possible for me to get canceled? Now, will I ever get canceled for this shit? Hell to the nah, because my channel is too small. My channel is too small. So, you know, report me if you want, but what are you reporting other than me just repeating what I've heard from other toxic shit out there? If that's the truth, first of all, God created it, right? Did he not? If like this God is the creator of all things, he created it, okay? So, all right. You eat and drink her child after witnessing the greatest public beating and murder of all humanity. But Madonna wears the cross like a virgin. I'm talking about Madonna, Madonna, right? You know, the singer. When like crosses became like this big part of fashion and style from a bunch of people who were like part of an industry that everybody was selling themselves to. Nobody had original creation, or, they took from your original creation at that time and put it through the industry and reframed it. This can't be the truth. This can't be the truth. But you believe in it. You're smarter than that. You're never here. You promised me a truth within you that you have never shown. And this is through that, I'm talking to people, I'm talking about God, because they're one and the same. Why the fuck would you do that to me? Why would my life what would my life have been like without your lie? I'm talking about all the people who have told me like their versions of what they think I am brought into their life for. Okay. And then it's like totally off, totally off. Where the fuck is the truth? It's all a game. That's the truth. Even if the outcome is fun in the end, it was nothing more than a game. We are put here for the entertainment of higher powers, the gladiator in the lion's den. Tell me, who has the heart of destiny? Truth. Is it the lion, the gladiator, or the gambler of entertainment? The viewer, the watcher of woes, okay? The gambler of entertainment. I'm talking about like the people who are up in the stands watching gladiators die for their entertainment. Is that the person who is like considered powerful because they can afford to sit up in the stands instead of being a person who's willing to go to battle with a lion? Are you fucking kidding me? The viewer, the watcher of woes. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about how there's an embodiment of the watcher of woes. I'm talking about like all of us sports fans who are watching these people put their bodies on the line for what? So that we can make money off of them, so that they can make a ton of money, yet have concussions that turn them into like homicidal, suicidal people that we just forget about? Come on. But I'm talking about God here, the watcher of woes. I'm talking about God, if he's the creator of this earth. You watch us like a spectator, wringing their hands from the stands to see if their derby horse will win the race with blinders on and a whip at the withers. Nice fucking game. Even in truth, there is always pain. You know, tell me something different. Tell me something different. What reality do you live in where you experience anything different than that? I don't care if you have tons of money and you're unhappy. I don't care if you have no money and you're at peace. You cannot escape the fact that we live in a world that was created by like a benevolent but jealous God or whatever. God lets Satan reign upon the earth because he's a fallen angel. Lucifer, right, is a fallen angel. So God's like, well, I'll let you have my people, but they're just, like the story of Job. If you don't know it, I put it onto one of my channels. But it's always a game. Every rose has its thorn, right? Just like every night has its dawn. It's like that is the reality of the duality, and it's not duality. It's not duality. We live on a sphere, we don't live on a coin. So there's no true duality. And that is the truth, is that you can't witness duality as it's happening. You can only see it through contrast. But for what purpose? If everybody chooses world peace, if we all choose to love each other, there's still fucking thorns on the roses. There's still seasons of death and growth and life. A baby still cries. A baby still needs, you know? And then it never changes. We're adults. We still have the needs to be loved by people who are stuck in their own deception. They're stuck in their own hypnosis based on their first 7 years of life. And we're all stuck in arrogance. And we can, this is why I don't even like talking to other people. I don't open up my mouth and say things for you to like tell me how my opinion is wrong. Like, do you understand that? Like, who do you think you are if you're telling somebody what to do and they're telling you about their experience and you're like, oh, well, I think you approached it wrong, or what's the fucking right outcome? What is it? What is the right outcome? You better embody it if you're going to tell somebody about it. The only reason why I come online and talk about my experience is because I fucking embody it, right? How can I embody somebody else's experience? I can only embody mine. Uh, and I'll tell you what, the truth to looking like younger and better looking as time goes on is through releasing this toxicity, okay? It's like, because I feel like people are like, did you lose weight? Did you do something different? And it's like, nah, I know for sure I've like gained weight since the last time you saw me. I know like I have way less hair than I did when I was a young kid. I know all the flaws that brought me to where I am today. But people look at me as like, oh, you're different. I don't remember you as being like pretty or something. It's like, oh, well, that came from just being held underwater and struggling to survive. It's like, I don't think that's what you want. I don't think that's what you want, but I'll tell you that when you live with like just when you're willing to accept that life just is the way it is and you just like stay in a job forever, even though the bad stuff in it. You know the bad stuff, but you don't mind embodying that bad stuff. You don't see yourself as a representation of what that job is. But I do. I see myself as, if I am going to devote my time to work for somebody else, then I am a representative of what they stand for. Okay? So if you work in the fast food industry, but you don't think that people should be eating that way, you're out of fucking alignment. All right? And so you're going to be drained of your life and your beauty and your soul and your this and your that. Okay. You, I don't really know what to say. I don't know what else to say. I just want you to understand that the whole thing is a game. Like God is playing a game with us. God is playing a game with us. The devil is a game that he created. And it's not even a he. God is not a he, but there's a creation outside of us. So what is the best case scenario? You know, how they always tell you that they always tell people like, call this number if you're feeling like you don't want to live anymore. And it's like, what what is on the other side of that number? What are you guys telling people? Like, are you keeping a secret from everybody else that is like still managing to not feel that way for the day? It's like, if you're going to like put somebody into a psych ward, what magic is going on in that psych ward? And if not, what do you have to offer them? People don't feel good because they don't feel loved. Because what can you do out there? What can you do out there to end the pain and suffering that some higher thing created? You know, it's like I can love on you with everything that I have, but I can't let you like into my body. I can't let you into my world. I can't just do those things, right? Wh- So what's the purpose? What is the purpose? You're supposed to tithe 10% of your income. Did God create income? What was there before that? Who is gaining from the tithing? Let's say that you tithe 10% of the time of each day. Figure what the fuck that is, right? 24 hours times 60 minutes. I don't know, what's that? And then take 10% of that. You have to dedicate 10% of your time every day because God said you have to tithe. Well, not all of us have money. All right. You tell me what the purpose is. Okay. All right. Bye.